Is Kirsten any closer to finding out the truth about her father? And is Linus and Camille finally calling it quits? Stay tuned because we have all the details about Season 2, Episode 5 and 6 here on AfterBuzz TV.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, guys? This is Dakota T. Jones coming to you live here from the AfterBuzz TV studio, and we are so excited to get into Stitchers, guys. We're a little bit late in the season, but don't you worry. We are really excited, and we're going to be covering all things Stitchers. So I have a lovely co-host. Would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi, I'm Becca, and you can find me at Becca B Talks TV on Twitter and Instagram. So excited to be starting this after show for Stitchers.
Becca is the one who made this happen, and I'm so thankful that you made me watch this, because how long were you telling me, Dakota, watch this show? Since last year.
So long. I've been obsessed with this show since it came out last summer. I've been absolutely obsessed.
For sure.
Great show.
And you guys can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Mr. Dakota T. Jones. So let's get started. We have a ton to talk about. We're talking about Season 2, Episode 5 and 6. So we start off, Episode 5 is called Midnight Stitcher, which I think was one of my most favorite episodes of all time.
The amount of times I've watched the episode is, not gonna lie, insane.
Really?
It's probably the amount of times that I've rewatched episodes of Pretty Little Liars.
Really?
Which
Wow.
is a compliment.
That's impressive. Yeah, I know. That's impressive. Well, we start off the scene with Camille and Linus making out, which was kind of like goals, because I'm so happy that they are finally starting, at least in this episode, to get closer and, really, discovering they have feelings for each other.
I'm obsessed with every couple on this show, and I keep using the word obsessed. I need to find a different word, but it describes my feelings toward the couples on the show. They're goals.
They are. They really, really are. And, we see that happen, and, we're kind of getting excited. It's setting it up to think, oh, they're finally going to be together. And then we kind of...
Yeah, like, serious relationship going on.
Yeah, you think so, until pretty much, let's be honest, I'm going to put it out on the table. Their relationship right now is pretty much only sex at the moment.
Well, they have amazing chemistry.
They do.
And they've had amazing chemistry for the longest time, which... Part of the reason I love watching this show is because the cast, their chemistry with each other when they're acting is unlike many shows on
really
TV.
It is. Yeah.
You see the connection. You would think they've known each other for forever.
Yeah, for sure. Basically, what my favorite part of this whole episode is the storyline. We have an intense storyline to discuss with this episode, and basically we find out that the victim that is going to be stitched into is a girl named Sandy, who dies because she is flung from the roof of a huge skyscraper, pretty much, like in her apartment building. And everyone's wondering, okay, what's happened? This is crazy. People want to know, is it suicide, or is it actually like someone who murdered her? And basically they find a note that is left saying that it is KC's fault, which Kirsten thinks must mean Kirsten Clark. So she's thinking, how is this my fault? Like, I've got to find out what's going on, and I need to find out.
And if she finds out what's going on, then it'll lead her closer to finding out what's up with her father.
Right. Exactly. And so she is like determined to stitch into this girl, but we love Maggie, but she's always playing it by the rules, and she says we are not going to be stitching into this girl until we find out if it's safe or not. And I totally agree with her. I mean, you can't just stitch into to anyone. Like, you have to kind of know their background, know what's going on before they get into it.
Especially with all the problems that's been going on lately. Like, everything that's being hidden from everyone at this point is making stitching into people tough if we don't know their full story.
Right, exactly. And I totally agree. And so basically, Kirsten is not taking no for an answer from Maggie. And she is like, we are going to do this. So basically...
She wants to find out more about everything.
I wouldn't blame her.
Her life.
Yeah, I don't blame her. So she basically saying, you know what, we're going to stitch. We're going to meet at the lab. And, by the time the lights are flipped on, Maggie is going to be there within 23 minutes. So we've got to make sure to get in, stitch, and get out, pretty much. So basically, they stitch in, right? Behind Maggie's back.
Yep.
Maggie gets the notification.
Yep. Which they knew that she would.
Yeah.
And they knew that she would come.
She was like, oh my gosh.
They overestimated the time they had by 2 minutes.
I know. She ended up showing up 2 minutes early, so she showed up 21 minutes into it rather than 23.
23.
But you gotta love Maggie. I love her to death.
I think she's hiding something huge.
She is.
And I hope we find out very soon. I'm thinking we'll find out episode 10.
I hope so.
Ish, but I want to find out before because it's killing me.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. And also, I mean, we're talking about the Stitch. We see this not random, but I'm saying it because we haven't got there yet. A kid in a red baseball hat, a red cap.
Who Kirsten keeps seeing.
Kirsten sees him in almost every single Stitch now. It's getting to the point where she is becoming super paranoid. And at this point in this episode, we don't know who it is.
We don't know.
A lot of people are making assumptions. You made an assumption.
I made an assumption.
And don't say what it is because it ended up being right.
I'll say what it was later.
Yeah.
I ended up being right.
Yeah.
But
Becca's almost always right when predicting with shows. Like a lot of the times.
I'll admit that sometimes I'm not right.
Yeah. But you never know. I mean, it's like very dead on with this one. And basically, while Kirsten is stitching in, she has a problem. There's this almost water-like barrier that she's like pushing through, and she kind of pushes herself through and kind of gets lost in that. And we see, she's like her body like starts floating in the water as she's trying to stitch, and everyone's freaking out. I think she was gone for 30 seconds or something like that.
Somewhere around there.
Thank goodness Cameron brought her back, took her back.
Those behind the scenes people,
Yeah, you gotta love them.
Yeah, you gotta love all of them.
And Cameron always has Kirsten's best interest at heart, so he's always ready to save her.
All of them do. Camille, Linus, and Cameron.
Even Maggie.
And Maggie.
Maggie
have her best interest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. So this barrier is what really is interesting that a lot of people want to know.
We're forgetting Fisher too.
Yeah, we can't forget about him. But basically what's going on right now with this barrier, a lot of people are confused. What's happening? What is this? It ends up being something really deadly. And this is why Maggie didn't want them stitching in the first place, because they knew they were dealing with something that was a little off. It ended up
being,
what they call a brainwash.
Yeah, and it brainwashed Kirsten into picking up a gun later in this episode and trying to shoot everyone.
Yeah.
Which, in the promo after episode 1 was aired.
Oh, and I bet you were like, what the heck?
That teaser scared me so much. Because I love Camston, too.
Yeah.
Camston shippers, hi. They need to be together and, figure it out. Nina seems nice and all, but, this love triangle thing needs to...
Love triangles, they'll get you every time.
No.
Basically, go ahead.
What I thought was interesting about the whole Stitch thing in this episode was that we saw Casey at the very beginning when she got pushed off the roof. And I didn't really, the first time I was watching it, I didn't suspect it at all that she would have been Casey. But then I rewatched him by the third time I rewatched it. I was like, oh, okay, the glare she's, the way she's looking and the way she ran over.
Yeah.
It kind of spelled trouble.
Yeah, for sure. And we can't forget about Camille running into Liam, which is Kirsten's ex-lover, at the gym. And at first we think this is innocent, she just happens to run into him. But we find out a little bit later that actually Maggie and Camille are working together to try to spy on Liam because they have something on him from that previous episode with the picture.
Well, he's always been sketchy. Okay, that British accent is great. His face is great and all.
You never can trust a guy with a British accent. You just can't.
Or that face. But very true. You can never trust a guy with a British accent.
Never
We've
can.
learned on multiple shows here.
Yep. Can't do it. Can't do it.
He thinks it's innocent flirting that they just coincidentally ran into each other, or as far as we know.
At that point.
As an audience, at this point even too.
Yeah.
He thinks that it is a huge coincidence that Camille ran into him at the gym. And when they first ran into each other, we did too. Which...
Yep.
Find out later.
Yep. Camille is actually becoming very, very sneaky. I love it. She's got this great poker face. But what we don't know is that she's actually not letting Linus know what's going on. So the whole time she's working behind his back and bluffing him off or brushing him off. And so he's getting very hurt because he thinks, what is going on? She's lying to me. We find out that, he took the food to the library to give to her because he wanted to surprise her and be like, I know you're studying, but here's food. I love you. And guess what? She wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Lies.
Which came up in the 6th episode.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into more later.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know if I like Camille's storyline right now as of the...
I mean, I like it.
I like badass Camille.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I like that. I like her fight. I like her training and stuff. It's great.
Yeah.
And...
very strong. She's becoming more of a strong character rather than someone who's just holding an iPad.
But, I mean, I've always thought of her as a strong character just because of her remarks, I guess.
And her attitude, yes, for sure.
Just her remarks and her sense of humor, quick winning. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, we actually see the strength.
Yeah, we do.
Developing.
And speaking of all of that, we actually need to get into the storyline of Sandy again. Basically, Fisher and Kirsten, or no, was it Fisher and Kirsten who went to the, I think it was Fisher and Cameron who went to the apartment to see Sandy's old boyfriend.
It was
Cameron and Fisher.
Cameron and Camille.
Oh, okay.
Later on in the episode.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Well, either way, two of them go to the apartment and they try to...
Fisher and Kirsten, Cameron and Camille.
Yeah. They go to the apartment. They're wondering, what is this guy's problem? He says he smokes pot, but there's something else going on here. And he basically says that this girl, and I believe her name is, I think it was Lisa. Lisa's the one who's controlling them.
Casey?
Kim. Kim is
her
name. She's trying to control them, and basically what's going on is that she apparently lived across the hall, but kind of ditched town, whenever the whole, murder happened. But she basically is finding a way to hypnotize pretty much and brainwash her victims.
Meditation tracks
that actually have a certain code that kind of activates chaos. So pretty much
activates chaos. Yeah, there you go.
Pretty much once her boyfriend turns on the music, he instantly becomes...
he turns into a zombie.
Yeah, pretty much. And he basically acts like he's getting ready to throw himself off the freaking, building.
It was mid-conversation too. When
it was super random.
Camille was so confused.
Yeah.
Camille's reaction was my favorite at that point.
She's like, what's going on?
Excuse you?
Yeah. And then once Cameron saves her.
Yeah.
Or him, sorry. Basically, he sees that he has a scar.
Which Kirsten saw in the first time she stitched.
Yeah.
Yes. So they predict that he is the killer, which, I mean, kind of, but not really.
Because, he did kind of do it.
His mind was controlled.
Right. And so it wasn't technically his fault. He was a part of a bigger storyline, but obviously he is the one who pushed her off the building.
Yes.
And, once we get back to the lab and everything, we start seeing everyone, wind down for the night. And basically, Camille gets a text from Liam saying, hey, do you want to hit the gym? You want to go out and hit the gym? And she says, sure, because she's trying to get closer to see what his angle is that he's working and which side of the team he's working on. But
at that point, we have no clue. And I'm like, stop texting him.
I was like, what are you doing?
Go hang out with Linus.
And
Linus is your boyfriend.
I know. Linus is like, do you want to hang out? And it's like...
Poor Linus.
She's like, no, I've got to go do this or that. I have a huge thing to study for. Poor Linus.
Poor Linus is head over heels.
He's getting the slip
Camille
these days.
And, I feel bad.
Me too.
I like Camus.
Yeah. And
the couple names on this show are actually the best.
Pretty great. And once they're at the gym, it's very obvious that Liam is hitting on Camille. Yeah. She doesn't really know how to take that. She's playing coy, but she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
And basically she acts like it makes her a little bit uncomfortable because she doesn't want to go out with a guy who's Kirsten's ex-lover.
Yeah.
And
because she's a good friend.
Yeah, exactly. But basically so she kind of leaves, right?
Yeah.
And we're kind of what okay, what is she doing? She keeps going around this guy, but then she'll act like she's playing aloof and has to go away.
Well, that's what she does best.
She does. What I'm saying, she is so sneaky these days.
She's a genius.
She really is. I love the way she, everyone has a strong, a strong role on the team.
Yes.
And hers is definitely like getting in and trying to figure out more details. And
yeah,
not just in the lab.
One, it was like, okay, she's back there like holding an iPhone, or an iPad, stuff like that. And we're kind of wondering what exactly is she doing.
Yeah.
But now we see a little more of Camille.
Yeah.
Working with the team.
That's what I really
having
love
a huge purpose in the the Stitchers program.
Right. Not only is she in the lab, but she's having a lot of field work too, and going out and I love that part.
Yeah, and she goes out and into the world, into the
world. Yeah.
Into the world.
And I know you're going to be so mad when I say this, because I know you are definitely not for this relationship. But we do see the scene where Cameron and Nina are sitting on his couch. They're having wine and pizza, talking about their favorite movies and everything, and they kiss, which I know your heart was screaming when that happened, right?
I'm just gonna keep staring at you.
And I know
if you say that you ship them, I'm just gonna keep staring at
but
you.
It's so cute. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I think it's cute. I think Cameron deserves someone who's gonna be emotionally there for him, and I think Kirsten is starting to get there. So I appreciate that.
Well, Kirsten feels emotions now.
Exactly.
Come on.
So I'm
she's
still rooting.
there.
I'm still rooting for that team, but it's still hard because Nina's a great girl and they get along. They have so much to talk about.
I mean, as far as we know, Nina's a good person and is interested in Cameron.
By the way,
but
everyone let us know
I have
right
my
now.
Suspicions.
Yeah, everyone let us know right now in the comments what you think of Nina's character. Do you love her? Do you hate her? Do you want her to go away? Or do you want this relationship to happen? I'm curious what the majority of the people are going to say. Yeah, for life, right?
Where are my Camston shippers? Yes.
And what I really loved from this episode was the weird part where Kirsten's asleep, and all of a sudden we see her kind of like get up out of bed, and she stumbles to the door, which is totally me when I wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And like she goes, and I'm like, okay, where is she going? Like, come back. Like,
come back.
Come back. Get in bed. It's late.
What are you doing?
Put on some shoes if you're gonna go outside at least. And Camille, pretty much the next morning, is like, why do you have like gross black stuff all over your feet?
You're normally awake at this hour.
Yeah.
Second, why do you have like dirt and stuff all over your feet?
Exactly.
There's a lot of Camston peeps on here. So I like Team Camston.
Yes, a lot of people love that.
Hi, Kate. Team Camston.
Yeah, who do we have on the chat roll right now?
We have Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
Kate. Boo69.
Oh yeah, Boo69Bs.
Yes.
Oh, I love her. I know.
Kate said, "Do you think Nina is like a female Liam spying on Kirsten through Cameron?"
Ooh.
And I've had my suspicions, and I actually really want that to happen, so then Camston can make it back to each other.
See, I don't know if that would happen though, because that's a really good prediction though. That would be. I would feel like that might be a possibility if Nina found Cameron, but Cameron happened to be at the store and find Nina.
But was that planned?
You never know. Maybe she was following him, but didn't she works there? She works at the shop, so like he went to her. So I don't know.
But even if she did work at the shop, how do you know she didn't like rearrange her work schedule?
That's true. That's very true.
Make sure that Cameron came into the store when she was there.
Yeah. I pretty much, there's been crazier things that have happened.
I mean, I kind of want her to be sketchy and someone we can't trust.
I like her the way she is now. I want her to become a part of the Stitchers program. That's how much I like her.
I mean, I wouldn't complain if that happened. I just want Camston to be a thing.
I just think she needs to find someone else.
Yeah.
But even though I do love the chemistry that they have. But, so basically, we have Kim, right? The redhead who is pretty much brainwashing everyone and taking over their minds through this like meditation music and getting them to do crazy things. And so she is pretty much pissed because she had an idea about like a brainwashing thing, and this movie producer took it over and decided he was going to make that story into a movie. So they keep going to this set, right? Stitchers team keeps going to the set,
which is the backlot of where they film.
Yeah,
I read that online while I'm doing the episode. It's the backlot of where they film.
Yeah, and I want to know, like, what is going to happen to this guy? They keep warning this dude, hey, dude, you know, you better be careful. You're going to die. It's going to happen. You're going to get murdered.
Kirsten and Fisher even go to the set, and they're like, okay, you remember Kim Charles? And he was like, yeah, that, like, wacky person, crazy person.
Yeah.
And
pretty much he does not take the threat seriously at all.
No, he doesn't.
But
and he's like, I have a ton of people who are after me, hate me, want me to disappear and stuff like that. So
he's not taking it seriously.
Take it seriously.
And it's so sad because
right now.
Dude, you know, he's got to watch it.
But
he's got to watch his back.
It's awful that Kirsten came to warn first and then ended up being the one who was used.
Yeah.
Brainwashed in this whole situation and then went back on.
Yeah.
Because that makes it look even sketchier to this guy.
Yeah, bringing it to that point, basically, they all go back to the set trying to warn him, dude, you better be I keep saying dude. I never say dude in my personal life. Anyway, you better be careful. This is going to be bad. We have a real threat that you are going to maybe die today. He doesn't take it seriously, and pretty much the music activates Kirsten, and she pulls a gun out.
Yes.
But before I get into that, we cannot forget earlier when Kirsten pulled a gun on Fisher, which was a big part of the story, and we were wondering...
Which was after Fisher and Kirsten came back into the lab.
And she heard the music playing.
And Linus was explaining the music to Cameron.
So all of that made her go
Which
crazy.
isn't actually music, it's like just like a meditation track.
Yeah.
Brainwash people, as mentioned before.
So pretty much she not only pulls a gun on Fisher, but also Cameron.
Cameron, which...
So sad. And she runs away.
And in the promo, like the second time she pulls a gun on Cameron,
not good.
It just made me cry because I didn't have a backstory at that point, to be honest.
Like, what's going
everyone
on?
else in the chat, what do you think when you saw that promo after episode 1 this season? Because...
It was crazy.
That was insane.
Yeah. And also, pretty much why they go back to the movie set is because they're thinking, okay, Kirsten has run off. She's going to come back and she's going to shoot the director, the movie producer. So they basically run. So they're trying to get to him.
They're saving him and Kirsten.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she can't go to jail.
Yeah. So
she's an important part of the Stitchers program. I mean, they wouldn't be able to do half this stuff if it weren't for Kirsten. So.
Yeah. So she pretty much pulls a gun on this guy.
Yeah. And his name is Roman Bain, by the way.
Yes. And who comes to her rescue? Who steps in between Kirsten and the movie producer?
Cameron.
Yes. I love how you whispered that so seductively. Cameron. Love it.
And my heart was beating really fast.
Oh my God, what the heck?
And there's like God above us speaking.
Oh, that's so great. Oh my gosh. So he pretty much talks her out of it. He's like, you know what? I know who you are. You're not this person. And pretty much gets her to break. And
But we didn't know that she would break.
Yeah.
And neither did he at that point.
We thought she was going to shoot him, and that was going to be the end of Cameron.
To be real, I didn't think that she would shoot him.
Yeah.
But I got to, like, I'm going to go back to when I saw the promo. I didn't know the backstory at that time, and they included that part of the episode in the promo for the whole season. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought it was going to be, like, episode 10 of this season.
Yeah.
And she was going to shoot him for some reason.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, better not shoot him. It's going to be bad.
Don't you dare shoot your boyfriend, your future husband.
I know.
Gone.
So once he breaks her and is like, look, you're not going to do this. You're not going to do this. We see one of the extras from the movie scene who's playing a zombie who has red hair.
Kim Charles.
Pretty much, yeah. She decides, you know what? This is not this. I'm going to make this happen. So she
my
pulls
plan
a gun.
isn't working. Yeah.
She pulls a gun. She's like, my plan's not working. I'm going to take care of this dude myself. So she pulls a gun on him.
And bam, Kirsten fires back.
Kirsten shoots her first person ever, which I don't know if is a good thing or bad
thing. Day. And then Maggie comes later on in the episode. Flash forward a couple minutes or like a couple hours. Don't really know how many hours, minutes. But flash forward. And Maggie comes and brings her a cup of something I'm assuming is
Very strong.
Probably alcohol. Let's be real
She's
here.
like, some situations call for alcohol, pretty much.
She's in this called for it. I've been in this situation. It's needed.
And before we get on to the second episode we're going to be covering today, we have to talk about one more thing. After all of that is set, they figure out, they solve the mystery. Scooby-Doo, they solve the mystery.
Scooby-Doo.
Cameron asks Kirsten... No, Kirsten asked Cameron to hang out. She's like, hey, do you want to do something?
This was like the saddest part of the entire episode.
The one time she actually says, hey, you want to do something? Like, come back to my place? And he's like, nope, can't. I'm going to be with Nina.
Gonna be with Nina.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. And then Linus asked Camille the same thing. And Camille's like, oh, no, I have to go do work.
So all of our favorite ships are having a moment of
so we're all brokenhearted here.
Yes. And the last thing of the episode that I want to talk about is Kirsten has been tirelessly trying to find this Elizabeth Stinger. And she finds out that it is not Elizabeth Stinger.
It's Elizabeth Brown.
Elizabeth Brown.
Same last
Your
name
last
as me.
name. So everyone, I'm thinking
apparently
Becca.
I'm related.
Yeah, Becca's related. So scary stuff.
So I know more than you think I do.
Yes. So that is it for episode 5. So before we get on to episode 6, I just want to let everyone know, if you're in the comments right now, make sure to go to iTunes, comment, rate, subscribe to AfterBuzz TV. Give us a review on there. Let us know that you are here and watching the show, and we will definitely give you guys shout outs on our social media. We love you guys so much, so thank you so much for joining us on this lovely journey.
We'll also have another host be joining us next week.
Yes.
And we are changing to Thursdays next week.
Yes, so we're going to be at Thursdays at...
Thursday at 6.
Thursdays at 6 after. This time we're like, boom. All right, so season 2, episode 6. Drum roll, please. Called The Dying
Chinese
Shame.
pop star going on here.
The Dying Shame is the name of the episode. So we open the scene, right? Ta-da. This beautiful, lovely morning. And
I'm just not going to talk for that. If he's going to narrate, I want this.
All right, I'm going to narrate. I'm going to give everything. Okay, so Cameron and Nina pulled an all-nighter where they loved talking about movies. They didn't have sex. They just talked and talked all night until his alarm for work the next day went off. I just want to... Okay, go ahead.
I just want someone to say something wrong, so then either Cameron gets mad at Nina for like disliking his favorite movie, or Nina gets mad at Cameron for disliking her favorite movie, and then Camston.
I just want to say I am like this moment of love right here going on.
It's
cute, and I love that they were like,
I'm not going to deny it.
They didn't even like have sex at this point yet. They're just
I'm not going to deny it.
Enjoying each other's company, which I think is so refreshing. Like, you don't always have to just bang bang bang. Like, sometimes you need to sit down and have a nice conversation with a nice young lady. It's not all about sex. So that's my little
sex
parent
ed class.
Yeah, sex ed for the day. But I love that moment. I just loved it. And
I have to agree.
Yeah.
I have to.
So basically, moving on from that little tidbit, Kirsten is really still searching for this Elizabeth Brown. I think there was 250 Elizabeth Browns in the California area that she had to call. It took her forever. And
Brown is a popular last name.
It is.
Don't know about Elizabeth, but apparently it's a popular name too.
Yeah.
Kinda.
And we see our victim of this episode, which I love that this show, every episode is a different storyline.
It's storylines within storylines. It keeps you on the edge of your seat, and it keeps you wanting to follow the show.
That's why I love this show, and I'm praying to the Lord above that we get a season 3.
Yes.
I need a season 3.
There's a petition online for anyone
Let's find it
who hasn't seen. There's a petition.
And sign it. Yes.
Follow the creator, Jeff A. Stitcher, on Twitter. He's posted the
That's awesome.
link a couple times.
I love it. But our victim, her name is Coco Su, and I love that name. And she's the biggest pop star ever in China.
And Linus is a huge fan.
Yeah, he's a fanboy. And we see that she is found dead in her dressing room before a show, and her bodyguard is passed out. We think, at first we think she was drunk, but it's very obvious that she was drugged.
Yeah, she was drugged.
So that's what we see in the very beginning. And basically we're wondering what's going on. We kind of see, Kirsten is ready to stitch into her.
Yeah.
And basically we see this paparazzi pretty much is wanting to blackmail her for cheating photos, which we find out a little bit later is something else. But the paparazzi,
Thank God,
yeah,
something else.
The
That'd be the
paparazzi,
most awkward cheating situation in the world.
I know. The paparazzi was pretty much trying to say, give me $200,000 for
It's a lot of money.
a large sum of dinero. They wanted to get.
Wow.
Is that right? Dinero is money?
Yes.
Okay, good. Anyway,
You're like, is that dinner or money
Yeah.
in Spanish?
lots of dinner. But anyway, so also pretty much this paparazzi is trying to blackmail her, and somehow Coco has a really, really old husband, lover situation going on, and he's making bank off of her. So it's like, why would he kill her?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks he killed her, but I'm like, no. He's making bank off this chick.
More to it. Always more to
Yeah,
it.
there's always more to the story than meets
Which
the eye.
I have to say, the confusing part of this episode was trying to understand everything that was in a different language.
Yeah.
For me.
And Kirsten was able to translate that and understand Chinese when she was in her brain.
I
Coco's brain.
wish that worked the same way for viewers of the show, because that would have made watching this episode so much easier on me.
But they gave us subtitles.
They gave us subtitles, but as I think it was Kyle on Twitter, Kyle Harris on Twitter said that subtitles are really hard to read if you're a slow reader.
Yeah.
So
That's funny.
very
that you said
true.
that. Yeah.
It's like pause.
Yeah, pause.
Pause.
Okay, read, pause, play. But
Now play.
once we see all of that in the stitch, we're wondering, okay, who killed this girl? And I love how the stitch is over, and then they want to have normal conversation
Yeah.
and nothing happened. Pretty much Kirsten offers to cook for Cameron and Nina, saying, trying to prove to herself
Awkward.
probably that she's
Awkward.
not against their relationship. So she offers to make them dinner. And, we think it's going to be this fancy, lovely dinner. It turns out to be pancakes.
I mean, I wouldn't complain if someone came over and made me pancakes for dinner.
As long as they were those cupcake ones that I had the other day at IHOP. Those were good. And so basically Fisher's like, you know what? We need to find Coco's bodyguard because she's still living. We need to find her and somehow get some answers because this is just crazy. We need to find out more about this secret lover.
Because, I mean, Coco's bodyguard, even after they found her passed out and stuff, found out she was passed out, she still knows a lot what was going on.
She knows.
But then we meet her.
We meet her and we think, oh, she understand.
Yeah. we think at first that she does not understand English.
That's what she says. And then
because she doesn't seem to. And Fisher and her are walking down a sidewalk.
Go ahead. This is great.
Should we talk about it? He might not want us to talk about it.
He's embarrassed. He feels
embarrassed and
emasculated.
But she's walking down the sidewalk with Fisher. Fisher's trying to figure out if she understands English or not. And she's gestures that she's hungry as a distraction. Fisher's like, oh, you're hungry.
And then ba-boom,
it
boom,
takes
boom.
1 second, 1 millisecond. And she somehow gets Fisher handcuffed to a bike rack.
Yeah, so he's pretty much screwed. She runs away.
And word travels fast.
Yes.
Back to the Stitchers lab.
So they're like, crap, dead end there. We got to find her again. And then they decide, you know what, we're going to go find this paparazzi. We're going to find him, and we're going to see what kind of photos he's got, and we're going to see if that leads us any closer. So they go, and Paparazzo is dead.
So
He's dead, laying over on his desk. His camera is gone. And Fisher goes into the bedroom to see if anyone else is there. And who is there? Little Miss Mei Ling. And he's like, oh, we meet again. And she was like, all right, fine. You got a gun. I don't have anything. Take me in. And they find out that little sucker was actually, she speaks perfect English.
I want to go to before that happened, when Fisher enters the Stitchers lab after being handcuffed to the bike rack. Just have to say, I think it was absolutely hilarious how the way Maggie greeted Fisher. Just like, so how'd you get handcuffed to a bike rack?
He's like, let's not talk about it. Everyone just brought it up.
And then
to him.
everyone, he has to say, let's not talk about it, like 20 times, because everyone keeps bringing it up and wants to talk about it.
Poor guy.
So funny.
Poor guy.
Bravo to Fisher.
Yes. And then this was
Fisher.
very interesting. Kirsten is calling, and she thinks she may have found the Elizabeth B that she was looking for. But we find out Elizabeth B is dead. She dead.
Yeah, which is why Kirsten thinks that this is her.
Yeah, they pretty much were talking to her mom.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense, and then the mom hung up.
After they asked if he knew Stinger.
If he knew Stinger. So it would make sense. But I'm kind of hoping that it turns out to be a false leading.
Maybe.
Because I want her mom to be alive. I want this Elizabeth Brown to be alive.
I think that would be a really great storyline to see, like, one of, Kirsten's parents, like, there,
yeah,
alive. I would love that.
I want one of Kirsten's parents to be there and alive and present in Kirsten's life.
Preferably her mom.
Like, because I want to know what more.
I want to know more, too.
I want answers.
Me, too. And, like, basically...
Kirsten wants answers.
But somehow, in all of this, she still finds time to make dinner for Nina and Cameron.
And stitch into people.
And Nina says she's going to the bathroom and pretty much finds Kirsten's wall of, like, equations and, like, crime scene investigation. And she's like, I think that plants a seed in her mind. And she's like, okay, this girl is not just some smart girl from school. Like, she is, like, a mastermind trying to figure something out. So I think at that point she kind of, like, realizes, I think I may be dealing with someone who has a life that they're not really telling everything about. So I think that moment was her, like, saying, wow, she's like, there's something going on with this girl. Like, there's no normal reason that would be strung up on the wall like that.
No.
Crazy.
But another reason, like, why I'm kind of suspecting there's something up with Nina is because she walked into the room with that going on.
But
what was she doing?
That's true. But she was like, oh my gosh. So if she wanted to be sneaky, she could have just been quiet. You know what I'm saying? I don't think she would play.
But I think that oh my gosh, playing dumb was so that no one would just suspect.
Yeah. Speaking of playing dumb, we gotta talk about the wonderful Camille. Sneaky. And she's playing dumb, like, oh, Liam, what's up, boy? And pretty much...
The best line in this episode...
What's that?
What was the best Camille line in this episode?
Ooh, there's a lot of lines. I don't know. Which one were you thinking of?
I was thinking the wolf line.
The wolf line? Which one was that?
When she said it to Liam.
Oh,
when Liam was, like, hopelessly flirting with her.
Yes, oh my gosh. Camille has the best lines.
Camille is just responds with wolf.
I love her.
Just hilarious.
She's super funny.
No, I love Camille. Camille is great character. Allison does great playing her. Mm-hmm. The perfect amount of sarcasm.
Yes, for sure. And so they kiss, and you can tell Camille's feeling very, very guilty about this. She's like, how am I going to tell Linus? Like, am I going to tell Linus at all?
She keeps making up excuses as to why she can't hang out with Linus, and then goes and kisses Liam.
It's so sad. Like,
so poor Linus is gonna be like, okay, so you don't like me anymore? You're not in love with me anymore?
It's so sad.
And I just feel brokenhearted.
And he was too, because because leading to the next morning, they are all at the lab, and he's mad at her because pretty much he made her food because he felt bad for her.
He brought it to the library.
I know. Showed up to the library. She was nowhere to be found, and he's like, were you there or not? Straight up. And she said no. And he just leaves.
At least she said no instead of continuing that whole, oh yeah, I was in the back, you should have checked.
Yeah.
Like, shut up.
So sad.
Go away. I like you, but I don't like you enough to put up with the lying.
Yeah.
So.
And then we see Maggie, and she pretty much is looking at Cameron like, why are you so happy right now? Like, what happened last night?
What?
You're a little bit too... She's like, okay, let's be real. Did you get some last night? And he's like, well, your FBI skills are on point. It was so freaking funny.
Favorite thing. I don't know.
But
getting some with the wrong person.
Yep.
Wrong person.
Yep. And Coco, our lovely pop star, has pretty much... We find out in the Stitch that she's not cheating. She is actually talking to her father, who escaped from prison.
Yes.
And is working in a garden trying to make an honest living because he was what is it called? Like whenever someone like a falsely accused.
Falsely
accused.
Falsely accused. Let's
of something that he didn't do. So he escaped prison and pretty much is trying to live on the DL. And that's what the paparazzi caught, was a photo of her talking to her father. So she knew if those photos went out, it would be a bad deal because her father would be exposed and thrown in jail or possibly killed for escaping prison.
She didn't want those.
Not cool.
She didn't want those going out.
Not cool.
Fantasy Stats Guru, I loved the line, "Can we get this boy some water for his thirst?"
Oh my gosh, yes. By the way, Fantasy Stats Guru is always awesome watching
He's
our
always
shows.
on the chat.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you so much, a personal thank you, because
Also-
you're always so supportive.
Also to Tina. Hi.
Tina, oh my god, I love Tina.
Glad you can make it on.
And
Cameron is a dork.
Yes, and Danny is here tonight, I believe, too. And so I just want to say thank you guys so much. A lot of you guys came from our Shadowhunters after show, and we love that you were here with us in the meantime, and we are so excited that you love this show as much as we do.
Now, back to the episode.
Back to the episode. We took a little break.
Really quick.
So Kirsten runs into... We pretty much find out who the guy in the red cap is.
Yes.
Do you want to do the unveiling since you're the one who actually found out?
I've been predicting this since the boy in the red cap. Thank you. I've been guessing since the boy in the red cap was first shown in Stitch, because the hair looked like him, but it's young Cameron.
Young Cameron.
Still confused as to why he keeps showing up.
But they do say in the episode, he's saying, you know, I wasn't actually in this memory. Pretty much, I'm just like your subconscious making up a figure that you like are fond of, trying to relate.
So Camston is pretty much in game.
Pretty much. But we wonder, who is this guy? Who is baby Cameron in the Stitch? Like, who is he? And he's trying to communicate with her, and he's like, I'll tell you that I'm real, because tonight when you show up at your house, there's going to be a package.
A package, yep.
And I was like, thinking the package was going to be something totally different. But
through young Cameron's mind, we kind of know that Cameron does still have feelings.
For sure.
For Kirsten, for sure.
It's very
They
obvious.
both still have feelings for each other.
Exactly.
Come
Kirsten
on.
is jealous.
Come
I know
on.
she doesn't have very
In-game.
many feelings, but she's definitely jealous.
Yes.
And we see Mei Ling. By the way, Mei Ling and Fisher are so cute together. It's very obviously they have a spark, and I hope to see her again.
I want to see her back. I was gonna say I want to see her back
I bet she will be.
they did have a spark.
Yeah,
there.
She's definitely got to be
But I have
back.
another prediction later on.
Yeah, let's
in a
save it
couple
for the
minutes.
prediction section.
Couple minutes, we'll get there.
Yes. And so basically they saved Coco's dad's life because someone was getting ready to kill him right then and
Yes.
there. And, you know, Kirsten shows up a little bit late with Cameron. And basically, Kirsten is so sweet, and we see an emotional side of her. She sits next to the dad.
Emotions.
I know. What are they? What even?
Emotions.
And pretty much, you know, gives her dad the pendant that he had given Coco,
Yes.
which is the great grandmother's pendant that she had loved so much, and pretty much quoted the line
I
in
don't
Chinese.
know. I was crying during this, and I don't know if it was because I was watching it at like 1:30 a.m. last night, or and I was like at that point where I'm like, emotions, everything makes me cry.
Yes,
Because 1:30 a.m. Yeah, that's the time where everything makes feel emotions.
The feels come alive
Yeah,
that late at night.
at that time.
Yes.
But that was the sweetest scene.
It was.
And I'm glad that even though Coco is gone and her father has to now live with
without her.
that and live without her, that
It
he
brought
at
a little bit of
least-
closure.
He at least knows that Coco forgave him
And believed
him.
That he was innocent. So I really did like that moment. I thought it showed a lot about Kirsten and how she's...
Fishling.
What?
Fishling.
Who said that?
Fantasy Stats Guru. Fishling.
Fishling. That's cute. But I was just really happy with that moment, and it was a moment where we see Kirsten finally showing her feelings. We've seen a lot of that this past, few episodes, but I love the gradual, change that she's making in herself, and I love that. And at the very end, we see Cameron kind of confront a dishonest Kirsten.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it leaves us off at. And, Linus obviously confronts a dishonest Camille.
So much dishonesty.
I know.
But I like the parallels going on.
Me too.
The writing on this show is absolutely genius.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm not just saying that. It's one of those shows where, as I mentioned at the beginning, if you weren't here, I can rewatch over and over again and not get tired. because you catch new things every time you rewatch, etc., etc.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's one of the reasons I like the show. The writing is strong.
Yes, for sure. The only thing that left me hanging, and I can't wait till next week, was because, I was waiting. I was like, go, girl, go home.
What's
go
at your
home.
door?
What's at your doorstep? And she opens the package, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be this grand moment. And it's one of Coco's records with a note of the quote that she gave her father.
Which...
I was like, okay, how does that have anything to do with finding Kirsten's father? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. But anyway, that's where it leaves us off at. So really quickly, let's get into some
your
predictions.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Yes. What is one of your biggest predictions right now?
I've had this prediction since Fisher was made a regular, Damon was made regular in the show.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking that as far as relationships on the show, because right now everyone's kind of broken up, I'm thinking like Camille and Fisher are gonna have a fling.
Ooh, no, thank you. But I kind of see where you're going.
I see
I've
where seen it coming since probably I say the first episode of this season.
Really, the first episode?
They kind of hit it off in the first episode, and I was like, okay, I love me some Camus, but I can see
he's a little old for her, just a little bit.
Is he?
Just a little bit. He's definitely older than her.
He's older than her, but is he too old?
I don't know. He's got to be like at least maybe like 35.
I would think 35.
A little less. 35, and she's 24 or 23.
I mean, age.
Age isn't just a number, but at a certain point.
Age.
I think my biggest prediction is definitely that the baby Cameron, I say baby, it's kind of like not a baby, but anyway, baby Cameron is definitely Kirsten's father toying with her head somehow through the stitch. So that is my main prediction. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us for Season 2, Episode 5 and 6 discussion. We will be back next week at Thursday at 6 p.m.
Yes.
And we will be joined by Gabriel.
Gabriel,
who's
who's Double G on TV on Twitter.
Yes.
I'm Becca B, Talks TV, Becca Brown.
And I am your host, Dakota T. Jones. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Mr. Dakota T. Jones. Like, rate, comment, subscribe to all things AfterBuzz TV. We love you so much, and we'll talk to you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.